Hawk to Hawk to Hawk to
Whenever EDP445 tries to imagine a Gen Z teenager, all he can see is a tasty cupcake. But whenever I try to visualize Gen Z teenagers, all I can see is some sweaty, overweight dude who enjoys hitting MLG trick shots in Call of Duty. However, apparently Call of Duty is not the only place Gen Z teenagers like to hit MLG trick shots. 4 teenage killers reacting to a life sentence by courtroom.
This is Mackenzie Sharilla. She is a 17-year-old who was found guilty of murder for causing a car crash that killed her boyfriend and his friend.
Mackenzie decided death was the ultimate goal that day. This was not reckless driving. This was murder.
Wait, is that even possible? You can get a murder charge for what? So she crashed her car and her boyfriend and the passenger was in the car. I would have thought that like maybe it was an accident. Maybe there's something I'm missing.
Sharilla's boyfriend, Dominic Russo, and his friend, Davian Flanagan, were in the car when she crashed into the side of a commercial building outside of Cleveland, going 100 miles per hour.
Okay, now that makes sense. 100 miles an hour. Okay. You're on the street, you're on a residential street. So I think that is most likely so reckless to the point where, yeah, I think you just gotta charge it with murder. That is extremely reckless. How much kilometers is that? 160 kilometers per hour. Okay. I'm not gonna lie, I have never driven that fast before. The fastest I've ever driven is like the max speed limit in Australia, which is like on some rural roads, it's like 110 kilometers per hour, which is like 70 miles per hour.
Both men were pronounced dead at the scene, and Sharilla survived. Prosecutors argue that the teen had a toxic relationship, and Sharilla had made violent threats against her boyfriend.
Threatened his property? She threatened to break into his house?
Correct.
Reportedly, she crashed her car on purpose because she wanted to kill her boyfriend, and that his friend was just collateral damage.
Damn, that is so bad. Imagine being the friend. You're just completely innocent. Because the messed up thing is that the passengers, like, you can't control anything. If you're not driving the car, you literally have no control. That's why, life pro tip, if you know someone is a really bad driver, a really dodgy driver, do not be their passenger, ever. Like, I have a friend who, like, okay, sometimes, it's kind of illegal, but sometimes he drives while he's over the, the legal drinking limit. And so I know, like, to never be a passenger of that guy's car. Like, never ever go in that guy's car.
The prosecutor said the intent was obvious upon seeing that video, that there was only one goal.
You see her driving very calmly and making the right turn, and then all evidence indicates she immediately put the pedal to the metal and drove straight into a building at 100 miles per hour. I think those really demonstrated to us that...
Bro, why is she smiling? She no reaction.
This was no accident.
And a few days before the crash, she allegedly took the same route to plot the crime. This is where the judge now finds her guilty.
Count 1. Finds the defendant, Mackenzie Sharilla, guilty of murder, to wit Dominic Russo.
She now stands up to be placed in handcuffs as she continues to tear up.
Bro, what did she expect? Like, did she really expect to get away with it? Like, oh no, it was just an accident. It was an accident. Oh, my foot slipped and I just went 100 miles per hour straight into the building. Bro, is she really that dumb? But I mean, she's 17 years old. Okay, maybe her brain hasn't like fully developed yet.
Count 2. Finds the defendant, Mackenzie Sharilla, guilty of murder, to wit Davian Flanagan.
Sharilla now has a moment to speak before her sentencing.
Her families, Dom and Davian, I'm so deeply sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose.
Bro, if you're sorry, then why did you drive into a building at 100 miles per hour? There is literally no excuse. Like, maybe if you crash into the building at like a regular normal speed, like maybe you'd be able to hide it a little bit better. But 100 miles per hour, that is like too obvious.
I wish I could remember what happened. I'm just so sorry. I'm heartbroken.
There was no medical condition that caused this as an accident. There was no mechanical failure of the car. A failed suicide attempt is not a defense to murder.
Actually, you know what? It could have been like, you know how some people have like seizures and stuff? And then you know how like on the freeway, sometimes you see videos of like the car just like drifting off to the side because like the person's having a seizure. So maybe it could have been like a seizure or something, like her foot just like went straight on the pedal. But I'm pretty sure she doesn't have any like of those like epilepsy or anything. Honestly, if she had planned this like a little bit better, she could have actually gotten away with this. And that's kind of concerning because imagine how many people have gotten away with this. Like they crash their car, they kill their friends, and then they just claim it's an accident because of like a medical episode, like they had a seizure.
There's a very good likelihood, Mackenzie, that you will spend the rest of your life in prison. She's sentenced on count 1, 15 years to life. Count 2, 15 years to life, to be served concurrent to each other.
The judge just sentenced her to 15 years to life in prison.
But what does life in prison even mean? Like, some people say it's like 20-something years for like murder, but then doesn't life mean like your whole life? Like, isn't that what exactly is a life sentence. A life sentence means the offender will spend the rest of their life in prison. Oh, okay. I would have never guessed.
This is Aiden Fucci, who pled guilty in court for the murder of his classmate when he was only 14 years old.
Having fun.
14? Bro, when I was 14 years old, what was I doing? I was in grade like 8, grade 9, grade 8. I was at home sitting on my ass hitting trick shots in Call of Duty. This guy is hitting trick shots in real life. That is insane.
Fucci was classmates with a 13-year-old girl from Patriot Oaks Academy in St. Johns County, Florida. Fucci stabbed her 114 times. Her dead body was later recovered from the woods.
Okay, maybe it wasn't a trick shot. Bro, you stab someone 100 times? Is one not enough? Why would you stab someone 100 times unless you intend on like torturing them with like pain, like 100 stab wounds?
After Fucci was arrested, he can be seen in the back of the cop car taking Snapchats. Now this video shows Fucci and his parents in the interrogation room.
Wait. He's in the back of the cop car knowing like after he's just stabbed this person 100 times and dumped her body in the woods and is just filming himself on Snapchat as if it's just a field trip. This, in court, this does not fare well. This just shows that you're not like remorseful. Is that the word? If you're just taking this situation so lightly, like, bro, 100%, you're never gonna get out of the life sentence if you do this.
Now this video shows Fucci and his parents in the interrogation room.
The Snapchat that you did was not very smart.
You're all over the internet, Negor. This is serious.
This is very serious.
This is no joke. This is your whole life. Your whole life.
And ours.
And ours.
A video from prosecutors showed Fucci and the girl allegedly walking together right before she was murdered. Then about 90 minutes later, the video shows Fucci allegedly running away from the area where the body was found.
114 stab wounds, 49 defensive wounds, 35 wounds to the head and neck, 29 to the back and shoulder, and 6 fatal wounds.
Bro. One wasn't enough? 114 total, 49 defensive wounds. What does that even mean? An injury sustained by a victim during an assault when they attempt to protect themselves from a sharp object? Oh, okay. So it means that you're stabbing the person and the person's trying to like defend themselves. So there's 49 cases where the girl was trying to defend herself. So she was still alive as she was getting stabbed 49 times. Look at him. I don't think this guy has any remorse at all.
After Fucci pled guilty to first-degree murder, the judge now hands down his sentence.
Having entered a plea of guilty to the crime of first-degree murder, I sentence you to life in prison. Because of your age, you are eligible for review of the sentence in 25 years.
Keep in mind, he did this at 14 years old, so he gets life in prison at 14 years old.
This is Willard Miller and Jeremy Goodale, and at just 16 years old, they are both charged for the murder of their high school Spanish teacher. Reportedly, it was over a bad grade.
Bruh, are you serious? You're going to murder your Spanish teacher over a bad grade? How much does Spanish mean to you as well? It's not like it's English or maths where it's like a pretty important grade. Spanish is like a language, so that's like an extracurricular sort of thing. And I don't mean this in a racist way, but like, you know, I'm Asian and usually, you know, we have Asian parents. Asian parents are usually pretty strict with like grades and stuff. Like they get pretty mad if you don't get good grades. But these people, I don't think they're Asian. So why would their parents care that much? I mean, maybe they do, but like it's just it's a bit of a...
We then moved her off of the trail where I then struck her and she died as a result.
Miller and Goodale went to Fairfield High School in southeastern Iowa. Nohema Graber was the Spanish teacher at the school, and Miller was one of her students. After he received a bad grade from Graber, he and his friend Goodale planned to kill her.
Wait, so this other guy wasn't even in the class? You just dragged this guy into it? This guy had no interest of even learning Spanish. He doesn't even know a single Spanish word. But also, apparently this guy didn't even know a single Spanish word either. Like, bro, how do you get such a bad grade on Spanish? Isn't that like the easiest language to learn? Like, it's the easiest language to learn for an English speaker. Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, French, and Dutch are the easiest languages to learn for English speakers.
We discussed general plan. I'll stand up here and look out, wait for Ms. Graber to show up.
Graber went for her usual walk at Chautauqua City Park. The boys knew that as they stalked her and they waited to ambush her.
Here she comes. What? And she walked by and hit her in the back of the head. And then I said, oh shit, make sure she's dead. So we hit her a couple more times.
They then dragged her into the woods and beat her to death with a baseball bat.
Oh, okay, that is that is pretty bad. So these guys went like above and beyond. They stalked her so that like they would know her everyday movements. So this happened outside of school. So they knew that she takes a walk every single day at this specific time at this specific park. And all of this over a bad grade in Spanish. Surely there's something wrong with these teenage killers. Like they're 16 years old. Just surely there's something wrong with their head, because there's no way anyone like naturally resorts to this level of violence after receiving a bad grade.
What's the plan after that? There wasn't any plan beyond that. Like hide the body, bury the body, save the body. At that time, we were going to hide the body. I guess in our arrogance, we kind of assumed that nobody would ever find her.
Not long after, both boys were arrested. Court documents allege that the witness who knew Goodale showed law enforcement Snapchat messages that showed Goodale and Miller's involvement in the murder. One of the Snapchat messages saying, "Point of view, you're my Spanish teacher, and this is the last thing you see."
Bro, the disrespect is insane. You've just murdered your Spanish teacher, and now you just make a meme out of it. Because the thing is, I'm pretty sure a lot of people in the school, like, so their Spanish teacher is now dead, but at first, like, no one would know how she died, because it's like a mystery at first. So then everyone's sort of speculating and everything, and then meanwhile, this person is making a meme out of it. POV, you're my Spanish teacher, and this is the last thing you see. And so this probably spread around the school, like a meme, like a school meme, like an inside joke, until everyone realized it was actually real, and this guy actually killed them.
Followed by time to hide a body. Jeremy Goodale would later plead guilty and testify against his best friend Miller.
I understood that he had the intent to kill Mrs. Graber.
What is your plea to murder in the first degree, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
This is the moment that Goodale gets to speak before his sentence.
I've had time to think on what to say, and I'm sorry, truly sorry. Every day I wish I could go back and stop myself. I can't comprehend losing a loved one in such an awful way.
Wait, so let's just get this straight. This guy was the guy who wasn't even in the Spanish class, but then this guy is the guy who was in the Spanish class, but then he got his best friend to kill the Spanish teacher instead of him, because I assume he wanted to keep his hands clean. That is messed up. You've just manipulated your best friend into killing your Spanish teacher over a bad grade.
And now the judge hands down his sentence.
The defendants shall be sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after 25 years.
Now for Miller. This is him apologizing before he receives his sentence.
I'd like to take this opportunity.
Bro, he's smiling. You can see he's smiling. Bro, he's literally smiling here. Is this not a smile? He's just happy that he managed to kill the Spanish teacher, like with his hands clean.
I'd like to take this opportunity to wholeheartedly accept responsibility for the role that I've played in the murder of Nahima Graber. To the family, I'm sincerely sorry for the distress that I've caused you and the devastation. And I ask that I'm given a chance, and I don't want to be institutionalized. I don't want to be in so long that I forget about what matters, where I come from, and I look forward to getting through this.
And now the judge has some final last words.
The defendant, Willard Noble Chayton Miller, should be sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after 35 years.
Miller seems to be completely unfazed.
Bro, I'm pretty sure that sentence is even worse than the other guy's sentence. That's life with a possibility of parole 35 years later, but then the other guy got life with a possibility of parole 25 years later.
This is Rachel Shoaf and Sheila Eddy, who are both in court today for the murder of their friend when they were only 16 years old.
Their scheme was to hide knives on their bodies and to attack Skylar at an agreed upon moment.
In Star City, West Virginia, Shoaf and Eddy were friends with 16-year-old Skylar Neese. Reportedly, Shoaf and Eddy decided they didn't like Neese anymore, so they planned to kill her.
Damn, that is some 16-year-old reasoning right there. You don't like someone, so instead of, just not being their friend anymore, instead of, just distancing yourself away from them, you decide to kill them? Is that really the thought process here?
Sheila Eddy and Rachel Shoaf carried out that plan. Together they stabbed and killed Skylar.
After Shoaf's confession, both teens were arrested. Shoaf agreed to plead guilty to second-degree murder in exchange for her cooperation in the case.
I'm so sorry. I don't know if there's a proper way to make this apology because there are not even words to describe the guilt and remorse that I feel each day for what I've done. I hurt the Neese family and those who love Skylar. I hurt my parents and shamed my family. May God bring eternal peace to Skylar and the entire Neese family.
After securing a plea deal, the judge now gives Shoaf her sentence.
Rachel Shoaf, it is the sentence of the court that you be imprisoned in the West Virginia State Penitentiary for a period of 30 years.
But she will have the possibility of parole in 10 years.
Wait, 30 years? Wait, why are there such big differences? So this person stabbed this 16-year-old girl, like murdered her. But these other people, they also murdered people and they get life in prison. Why does this person only get 30 years?
And now for Eddie.
It is the sentence of the court that you've been imprisoned in the West Virginia State Penitentiary for the rest of your natural life. That sentence is technically with mercy, which makes you eligible for parole after you have served 15 years.
Okay, so that was the life sentence. Okay, so wait, is this favoritism? Why does one person get the life sentence and then the other person only gets like 30 years? My heart goes to the person that had to count all the 114 stab wounds. Oh yeah, someone had to have counted that on that girl's body. That is a little bit disturbing to think about. Killing your teacher because you didn't study as wild. Oh yeah, that is true. It's like maybe it wasn't the teacher's fault that like the grade was bad. Maybe it's just that the student was just so dumb, just didn't study, didn't put any effort into their school. And then that is probably the reason why they got the bad grade. Killers back then trying to remove any evidence. Killers today posting their crimes on social media. Well, I mean, at least it just makes it like easier to convict these murderers. But yeah, that is still just such a stupid Gen Z thing to do.